see it. Hi everyone, I am Tara, aka Spirit Mother, and I would like to welcome you all back to my channel on YouTube, Spirit Teaches According to Itself, on TikTok 1974 Light Soul, and I'm also live on my Facebook. If you're new to my channel, I always recommend, suggest, and really encourage you to read the description on my YouTube channel, Spirit Teaches According to Itself, to get a better understanding of what it is that I'm doing forward on my channel. As many of you know, I talk about everyday life. Okay, I use a lot of my own life experiences. Right now, I'm feeling a little off. I don't know why. I think my hair is different. Okay, and not so happy with my hair right now because it's not the color I thought it was going to turn out. So I'll fix it later. Today, I was going to talk about education. Okay, because a lot of people have how do I explain it? Felt like they lost opportunities. Okay, sometimes it's because people would be the person to believe that they wouldn't be able to do it. I'm meant for it myself. Okay, and this morning I feel, right now I'm all of a sudden I got very emotional because that tells me that there are people in here right now that feel that. They feel like they missed that opportunity because of the way that other people have spoke to them or left them feeling that, you know, I know someone that, well, they passed away now, but they always said about education, okay? And they would shoot people down who didn't have one, okay? Who didn't go to university. But see, the thing is, that very person that would shoot people down about going to not going to university, they didn't go to university either. Okay? They locked into a job, okay? Because back in those times, grade 12 was high education. And now, like, you get grade 12, and they basically tell you, well, it's nothing. Well, if grade 12 is nothing, then I guess you're not teaching what you should be teaching. Because is grade 12 actually got you to be, you were able to be a teacher if you got grade 12. Now you have to go to university and take all these other courses and fork out more money and what have you. And from what I understand, teachers, they're still forking out money that they shouldn't have to in order to educate the children. They're putting bills out of their own pocket, which is absolutely wrong. Uh, I was accepted into St. Mary's University, and I owed them $1,900 because I started two courses. And one of the courses was Stars and Galaxies, and the other one was in philosophy, Killing and Letting God. Okay? Well, in the Stars and Galaxies, as he was talking, all I was doing was relating it to the human body and how the human body works. And then in philosophy, in Killing and Letting Let Die, I was at that part where it was like, wait a minute, why are like it, what somebody in a family does is up to them. So how other people can actually interfere in that, that really, it started to baffle me, and it did more irritating. I was very irritated by it because it's a whole bunch of frivolous teachings, and it is. It's frivolous teachings for, like, okay, let's, we were like, I wasn't in school at the time that they had that woman hooked up to a life support after she was basically pretty much pronounced dead, but they left her on life support to deliver the baby. And, according to the law, it was illegal, but they made it legal. So I don't know who was keeping her alive. Like, people will say, oh, well, that would be an abortion. That would be the death of the baby. The woman died. And from what I understand, that baby has gone through a lot of complications because you left the baby alive with that body. So I wish they had have been doing that at the time, because I also found out, like by watching documentaries and stuff, that when they do euthanasia, like when they do assisted suicide, and people say, well, that's not true. Well, go take it up with the ones that did the documentary about it, where they paralyzed the person and then injected them and they drowned it, and they drowned it. So I didn't want to be. So I actually was sitting down and figuring out, because logistics, right? I speak multiple languages, and I'm into like understanding different hieroglyphics and different artifacts. I go to different places to try and understand the history. And when I do, I channel through different forms of languages. Most of the time, my stuff never comes out in English. And then anthropology, there's logistics and anthropology. And there was a woman that had her university. Okay? And when I talked about university, oh, well, that's a lot for you to take. Did you say that to your children? Or do you just say it to people that you think you are better than? Because anyone who does that to somebody, they're the ones that actually need the help, correct? I'm just holding these right now. So this morning I was crying because my whole life I felt like I was held back by other people's insecurities. And I'm not blaming other people for me not going to university, because it's not, I don't think I want to go to university, because I would challenge everything that they've said. And most teachers don't want you doing that. They're there to teach the curriculum. And if you're not asking a question to an answer that they have right there, then you have to be wrong, or you are a difficult student. I'm more of like, I connect more with the spirit. I'm not saying don't get an education, because there are some things that like. Do you know? I honestly believe that people should be able to be given the opportunity to do certain testing, or certain like, okay, say you go for your law degree, and to become a lawyer you have to do the bar exam. Okay, if it's a mature student, and they want to pay to just go and see if they could, like, ace the bar exam or pass the bar exam, then they should be given the opportunity to do so, because that person may not have had the opportunity to go to university and spend hundreds of that, like thousands and thousands of dollars. but they have life experience because they've done it for themselves, or they like, because people can go in and represent others important. People say, well, that's not fair to the ones that went to university. So you're saying that somebody can't have an education if they don't pay thousands of dollars? How is that right? Wait a minute, it's not. See, there's so many people in society today. They're very people are like people that you say are stupid are actually very smart. You're just not testing them in the areas that they're knowledgeable. They just get pushed aside. There's even a university to be a clown. Huh? I just heard somebody say, well, Donald Trump. But that's the circus. To go to university, to have to go to university or college to be funny, to be a comedian. And people have done it. They've had to go to university to do this because people say, oh, well, you don't have university, so you don't have our qualifications that we're looking for. We want you to have university and so many years of experience. I've seen people that had life experience that did a much better job than someone who had university because they spent all those years going to school and learning theory and not really experiencing it for themselves. The best teachers are the ones who have experienced it themselves. So when you're in school, right, people say, oh, well, we've got no history, we've got no chemistry. How many of you actually use chemistry? How many of you actually use biology? But that's a mandatory subject, right? It goes nowhere. Very few people come out of school and use it. They don't teach you anything about money in school. They teach you math, but they don't teach you money. And money, you say, is what keeps the world going. And I can feel that. You better get the fuck off. You must have a university degree or you must be in control of some money. See, my channel is a spirit to spirit. And those spirits know exactly who I'm speaking with. And if you're having a reaction to what I'm going through, like having a reaction to what I'm bringing forward, and I can feel that. You're really that insecure about yourself that you have to project that onto me because you took years of university and what I said kind of butthurt you. You have dropouts in your government, but you still look up to them, right? But the ones who have university, they'll say, oh, well, they don't have university. How did they get in there? You know, people can teach one another. I went to school. I always found in the classroom it was always better when the students were able to help one another. But that's not allowed now. You have to sit there or shut your mouth and say nothing. They hire PNs or whatever in the heck they're called to come in and help other students. And that's more money out. No offense to the ones that are in there helping, but that's more money because students tend to listen more to students. They learn more from one another. So when you have teachers, most teachers gravitate towards the students that already know what they're doing because it's easier for them. And then they hire an EPN, and you say that's for the autistic children, but they have resource. When I went to school, The teacher had the students that knew what they were doing. The teacher had those students work with the students who just weren't getting it. That way, it gave the teachers time to actually work with the students who were struggling. Many teachers are saying, like, kids are coming out of school, they can't even read and write. Kids don't write cursive anymore. Who is the uneducated ones that, I grew up learning cursive writing. Like someone who they can write better than they can print, but they always want to print it because, oh, it's illegible, or we can't read that. Most of our assignments had to be in writing. They didn't really want it in print. Most of the time, it was writing. People think that shooting teachers down and what have you. No, there are many teachers have a hard job. But the reason why it's a hard job is because it's not being done properly. I've seen where teachers would gravitate towards students who already knew what they were doing because there was no work in that. And then they just push the other ones through. Yes, classes are overfilled. They are. Because you're sitting around watching your close out community schools to ship everybody off to a bigger school. So that's more money there. How many schools have shut down? How many hospitals have shut down? And you're saying about like the money's not there? The money's not there because it's being pushed in one direction opposed to being put in the community. But people who have university degrees say that that's the right thing to do, is to close down little schools, close down the smaller community schools. And that's the same as hospitals. I'm lucky because, well, I mean, I don't feel like I go to the hospital really anyways, but the hospital is 15, 20 minutes away. But sometimes they don't even take you to your own hospital. When I was in the psychiatric unit, which I couldn't understand, they would take patients where their families resided in that community. They would take those patients and they would move them 40 to 50 to an hour away, sometimes even further. So it made it harder for the family members to see the people in the hospital. It makes no sense to me. And you say it's to save money? Really? Whose money is it saving? But they're not teaching you money to be able to, understand the concept of, their budgeting. Oh, right, they have the university degree, so they manipulate numbers because that's God you look to. You look to the God who can manipulate numbers. You look to an AI system. But see, anybody could go in like Doge. Doge went in, manipulated your numbers, took money and funding from education. But where did that money go? Because the United States is still over $40 trillion in debt, and Canada is 2.44 trillion. But you'll blame it on Like you'll say, well, it's the government doing it. No, actually, it's not just the government doing it. It's actually you're doing it too because you're not following the numbers. You're the boss. So that's why they put everything in different categories to confuse you. That's what university does. They have all these big words, like to sound intelligent. I'm sorry, but that's all you do. It's like the big words. Why don't you put it in layman terms so that everyday people can understand what it is that you're fucking talking about? You don't want to do that, right? Because that is stuff that could be actually taught in school because it has to do with everyday life. It has to do with life skills. I do. I'm not reading anything. I'm just with spirit. I'm sitting with your spirit. And as long as people are just sitting back and you're saying that, like, your government chooses education. Okay, I'm gonna, like, it's like doing a survey. How many of you have left school or graduated from school and has really used biology to benefit to you? How many of you have used chemistry? How many of you are actually using history right now? That's usually for historians, right? They get in that and understand it. But a lot of the time when they're teaching your history, they only have what you get an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours a week learning history, and it's just more repetitive because you're actually not learning the entirety of history. You're learning the fragmented the fragmentations that they want you to learn so that you can continuously be against them. Let's say, okay, they did it's there when they were doing the trade agreements. One of Donald Trump's stipulation was that we couldn't have French food. Why? Because you can't speak it. Don't like us frogs and toads. Didn't like the French, did you, British? So to the community that says that European settlers come in and infiltrated into, they didn't. They couldn't speak English either. They were French speaking people. And the British wanted to suppress that too. You say you stole their land. No. They were brought over here as slaves, and in return, they were given land. So long as they remained their slaves. And your people slaves too. Higher up, they actually didn't, like they say about, they like for to get your status, you have to have your genealogy done. What about the people that have closed adoptions? Okay. What about the people that, okay, they have a last name? That's a lot of, they go by your genealogy, but not all genealogy is correct, and they don't teach you that part in school. They teach you a narrow minded. They teach you as the French, as the European settlers, as being your enemy when the European settlers were never your enemy. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is over there. Can you see her? Oh, she just took off. Can you see? Oh no, there she is. See her. Oh, well, anyways, I was showing Hummingbird. She comes around. I'm glad I have that. I bought that at Costco. which means that, the spirits are around. So this, like, a person to do research. Why does it that a person, in order to do research and be able to be part of something that does research, but because that person doesn't have a university degree, they can't be part of the team because they don't have the qualifications. See, with my family, okay, the genealogy, okay, what historians took decades, even centuries, to figure out with the genealogy. With mine, I figured it out in less than 3 months. And let me tell you, I was screaming, I was bawling and everything. I mean, it was because it hit home, but it's because you're cross-referencing everything. But like, it's how do I explain it? I ended up taking my family, like linking my family to Oak Island. I ended up linking my family to the Boothville tribe, and that was in the 1700s. I ended up linking my family to the Levy the Levyites. They were Halevi. They were the like with regards to the Jews. So I know that was my second great Grammy. So I know that I meant to be within history, linguistics, anthropology. I may not know the name of a plant, but I know people. I catch things rather quickly. Like I was going through some deeds, which was really strange because there was this one deed, which like actually two, three deeds, but they had already been deeds. And then years later, somebody else tried to claim them as their deed, as like selling the property to them. And one of the properties that they said they sold to this person or deeded to this person, that person had already sold that property a few months prior. So that's a fraudulent deed. And I've been looking through things. I even had people, as someone asked me, like, why are you looking through this stuff? Why? Like, okay, well, I'm looking through it because it's history, right? It's our genealogy. But see, when I was bringing something up, strangely, for some reason, that person knew everything about around it, even years prior to that, but they didn't know this. So that's what I'm talking about with regards to education. I went through land registry. I even took it to the RCMP. Whether they did anything, I don't know, but legally they were bound to. Whether it was myself or whether it was somebody who was affiliated with it, I was still affiliated with it. How many of you? Okay, we all use math every day. So if we all use math every day, why is it we can't figure out majority of the time our own bank accounts? Because we rely, we rely on someone else. But this is stuff that actually should be taught in school. Why is it not? You teach your children from a young age about money. You teach them the worth of money. And that way you don't have children that are saying, oh, I want this, I want that. Oh, the more expensive one is better. No offense, I had somebody tell me that, they were irritated because the other parent would buy a more expensive gift for their child at Christmas or the birthday. But that was because that parent didn't really give the children anything outside of the holidays. Children are least likely to appreciate something if they're getting something all the time. That's why at Christmas time, kids never like what they got because they get too much. So there's no appreciation and respect. And people are getting irritated with me for that. I can feel it. Yes, it is your business if you want to do that, but don't go fucking screaming to other people because your child is a little brat in a helmet. There are some that, they learn to appreciate. But that's because they have parents that are teaching them the actual value of a dollar, or you give them an allowance so they go buy it for themselves. There are parents that, they'll be in the store and they'll say, oh, if you're good, I'll buy you something. No, you might want to cut that out. I seen a video with a woman on here. Yeah, I'd be keeping that kid at home. And once it started saying that it wanted anything, whether it took a temper tantrum in the middle of the store or not, about being embarrassed by them because they're the one embarrassing themselves, and people don't get that, then they might want to turn away, keep your trap shut, and don't fucking church. They start doing that, walk right out of the store. Take them home. I have a grown-ass adult that when we're going somewhere and he starts on me, I have literally, even if I was 45 minutes away from home and we were headed somewhere, I have literally turned around, brought him home, dropped him off, and left and went where I was going. Because if you don't do it when they're children, then you get adults like that because it leads into adulthood. And then you wonder why you have narcissistic adults. Narcissists can be corrected at a young age. As a society, narcissists are not bored. We produce narcissists by not nipping things in the bud. Teach that stuff in school. Teach how to work with people in school, how to communicate with people in school. But you don't do that, right? You just teach about history and how the European settlers stole your land. No, we fucking did. Because the Europeans, Africans, and parts of Asian people were actually the first to migrate over to what you class as Turtle Island or North America. But you don't get that data. Of course not. Because you think that human society has only existed for what? 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 years? Are you serious? I've even done the research to the Mi'kmaq community, the Micmac or Mi'kmaq community. They claim most of the indigenous artifacts. But when I looked into it, a good chunk of it is not even theirs, but they are claiming it. Nova Scotia was actually, that's how, like the majority of people came over through Nova Scotia because Nova Scotia was connected to Europe, Asia, or parts of Asia and Africa. That's where most of the RH negative people migrated from, right? And they tried to, like others, you call them sea people. How many of you have watched The Odyssey? I went to watch the movie The Odyssey. Oh my. But I had to, spirit was like, spirit helped me to embody and be able to reflect, like push, hold back the stuff that would come at you with regards to it. Because it was like I would go, normally I would go like this, but this time it was, no, watch how it is done. Watch the demonic essence behind it. And at the part where she turned the people into pigs, it was because other sea people, like people had come and raped and raped her and beat her and took her stuff, and they were men. So she used her witchcraft on them. This stuff tells a story. So the guy, they were the sea people. They were the ones that everybody feared. See, the guy who left his wife to go fight the Troy War in the movie, the Troy War was real. Okay, there was a giant in it. Okay, the giant was the shepherd, and there was actually a thing here on TikTok where it had a giant being the shepherd, where he would take his flock into the cave, and he was the only one that could move the big boulder. So, you say Jesus moved the boulder. Okay. Now, I know you went there. Just hang in there. Okay. Because you say the shepherd and the sheep, right? So in the movie, it was a cyclops. Okay. It had two eyes, but it worked with its cyclops. Okay. Couldn't see well. And, it was the same idea. It brought its sheep in every night and let the sheep out. But they got in there because they got caught in it. So they stabbed it in the eye, and it started speaking English. Didn't really harm them. It turned around and it just held its eye and it spoke in English. And they set about to speak in English. So the next day, like as they were doing it, they figured out, okay, this is how we'll get out. So when they got out, the head guy, the king, instead of walking away and leaving the cyclops, leaving the giant cyclops, what did he do? He shot another arrow into its eye when the thing was just sitting in the doorway and allowing them to leave. So that left them fleeing through lives, and then they found the enemy and they just destroyed everything. If I was the woman at the end of the movie, yeah, I wouldn't have been going on a ship with them like that. But that, if you look at the honesty and you look at the parts of history or what you perceive to be mythology, you're actually getting this, you're getting the whole story. Most of the movies and things that they put out there are actually versions of what would be actually your biblical formations. Because you can always take, if you like really understand how like research is done, or I do a lot of, like, you'll see me and I'm just kind of, it's like I'm talking, but I'm seeing all at the same time. and I'm explaining what I'm seeing. That's a form of remote viewing. But I don't sit there and say, oh, well, it's this soft or it's this hard. Because once you have the eyes to see, your eyes will tell you what it is that you're seeing, whether it's hard or soft. It's not about feeling. Because that's like when you step on, because everything comes from the mind, the sense of feeling. Right? So when you see it, you touch it, it's affiliated with something. But you know that, right? Okay. You stub your toe, like it doesn't really hurt, but you say ow. Because it's more of a visual. Okay. I was fixing one of my desks and I was hammering, but before I like beforehand, I saw myself hit the hammer to my thumb when I was trying to like seen it and I kind of like I and then when I actually did it, I laughed because I had done it, but I bawled because it hurt, and then spirit was just like, no, just sit with me for a minute. And then ask me, what are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? Where's the pain really coming from? Did you see it happen? Okay. And the pain went away. And it was gone within, well, fully gone within about a half hour. But it had gone away every so often. Like I was doing it, but every so often it would feel like I had the pain, and then it's just like, no, it's just a month. Seriously, you want to go there with me? It's like, don't try to attach your energy to me because I'll twist it, turn it, and shove it up your ass. People were okay. How many of you are visual learners? You learn by seeing someone do it. The biggest majority, right? How many of you learn by writing it down? Do you learn from it, or are you just memorizing? See, someone who learns something, if a problem arises within it, they can go beyond that structure. But most people who have something memorized, they struggle to figure it out if it's not the same. Like I've seen the way they're teaching math right now. It's like, what? No fucking wonder like kids are parents don't even know a lot of the time what they're doing with the math. It's like when you did long division. Division was always the longest, or multiplying. And you say, well, that's how they're doing the equations now. That's not okay. How did we do that? Not giving the math lesson. Okay, so we did it 5 times 6. I heard 30. 42, 45. I could do this in my head. But 6, 5. Put the 0 down. We always brought our 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times, or yeah, 1 times, yeah. And that's what gets, that's like you multiply. So you would multiply 5 by itself. So I would say, like, if you actually took and you looked at that, okay, you multiply by itself, that would 5 times 1, so that would be add 5 to 5. A lot of people wouldn't get it in that sense. So if you had 5 multiplied by 2, you would multiply 5 by itself twice. But that's not what we're talking. So, if you're doing a project and using math, try doing it that way and see if it works out. Do it as an example for measurements. So if it was 5 times 1, try doing it at a 10 instead of still 5. And then 2, like 5, 2. So 5 times 5. Yeah. Wait. I know, it's like, what the fuck? I can feel the confusion right there. Okay, so if you had 5 times 2, you multiply 5 by itself twice. So 5 times 5. Well, maybe I got that wrong, or maybe I got that right, because that would sound a little confusing to me. Because you're multiplying 5 by itself twice. So that would be 20. Because you double the 5 twice. It's like the Tower of Babel or the Leaning Tower of Pisa. See, I know somebody that they do they do concrete, and somebody wanted them to start doing ridding or something, whatever it's called. One day they told them that they had, like, something was wrong here because it wasn't right. See, that was their mind from ancient times that was remembering that and actually being able to see that it was off. Because why was it off? Because the math was wrong. So he had the eye to be able to see that. And I know that person, they have grade 12. I know another one that, they got their GED, but they're both freaking smart as lips. Many people look down because they don't have a university. I know other people the same way. They have talents and gifts, but not given the opportunity to be able to bring them forward because you say, oh, to do that, you have to have a university. I know someone that they'd be awesome at interior decorating or like refurbishing different things, getting it and refurbishing it. But instead, they're like working in a warehouse. No offense, but hey, seriously, do a job where you're actually appreciated. When you're self-employed, if you're doing interior decorating, well, you're able to do that. You're able to do it on your time and take on what it is that you want. No guarantee you'll make a fuck of a lot more money than what you're making where you're at. Dreams fail because we allow them to fail. Because we listen to what other people say and we don't see ourselves in it. When did you stop believing in yourself? The hummingbirds, the it's just in the nectar. It's like we're not going to accomplish anything if we don't take that step. And the step is first with education, teaching people what really needs to be taught, how to communicate with one another, not fight with one another because you say we stole your land, but yet you guys, your community always preached that nobody owns the land, but yet you're saying someone stole it. Really? Do you hear yourself? Or do you only hear what benefits you? So that's why, like with this, I went to one gay parade, the gay pride parade, but then when I see the one in Halifax, and men were running around with short shorts on and little T-tops up to here, and in what I would class as being dominatrix, as a parade for kids. That's not for kids. Sorry. And no, it's not censoring either. There's a woman like teaching how to make clothes because right now the clothes that they make, it's true. The young girls' clothes are being sexualized. And I don't understand why we're dressing. I'm not saying like, I don't understand why we're dressing our little girls in tube tops and you're screaming about all the pedophilia going on. It's not about like covering them over and having things all over their heads so nobody can see them. Learn respect from a young age. Teach it in school. If parents don't have time for it, it should be taught everywhere you go anyway. this woman was showing the inseam for boys and girls, which I can, okay, boys, they have balls, they have testicles. But why, like, girls, it's like just barely covers the private areas. So I understand where it's coming from, and I understand why parents will say, well, I'll dress my kid in whatever I want. And then and then what ends up happening, because it happened to me, because a girl is dressed a certain way. If she gets raped, they blame it on her for how she appeared, for her appearance. I had somebody say to me that, when I told them that I had been date raped, were you wearing your tight pants? See, these are things that they need to be taught. We need to be taught from a young age. Parents need to be educated on it, and children need to be educated on it. And I'll tell you right now, that would alleviate a lot of pedophilia and rape and everything like that. I can speak on this because I was a victim. And that's the same as, being educated that, like, it's health class, but it's really, it's up to the parents to be teaching their children about sex ed. You don't want things happening in the schools, but yet you don't teach your children. You leave it to somebody else to teach them, and then you fucking scream about it later because of this or that. They don't teach you how to protect yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And I'm not talking about bringing the Bible back into school, because that's a big part of the problem that created a lot of division. And, thumpers will not recognize that. And it doesn't matter which aspect of it you're looking at. And some of you probably just dropped right out of the channel right there. I didn't insult your religion. Everyone has their own religion. But when it starts interfering with the rights of humanity, with the rights of someone else's beliefs, murder is never accepted. Self-defense, but schools teach your children that they are not allowed to defend themselves. And if they defend themselves, they will be punished. That hit a nerve. My son, in 5th grade, I believe it was 4th or 5th grade, he got stabbed in the leg with a pencil by a girl whose mother, was on council at the school. It wasn't the first time she had hit a kid. And when I went to the principal, oh yeah, we're keeping her. And I was sitting there and I seen her walk by. I said, really? I said, so if you're keeping her in detention, why is it that she's walking by and getting on the school bus? Oh, just a minute. So they went in. Oh, well, she had to go home today. She never did get punished for it. But my son took a Yu-Gi-Oh card from a child and then later took it back because I got called to the school. I told him, it's better to be honest now but I'll believe you, but I know that you'll do the right thing if you did, because I knew that he had done it. So he went back to the class, he took the card and gave it back to the child. But he was getting in trouble for that. And then things turned, and he went home and he got punished. Okay, he took the card, yes, but he understood. So why are you punishing for him for something that he already got punished for? But he learned a lesson from it. But this girl, she's probably off kicking the shit out of everybody. Because it never got stopped. I hope she's not. But I will tell you one thing, if she is, then I will point fingers at the parents and at the school, because they could have done something about it. Because obviously that child was having problems at home. That wasn't just an ADHD. That was a child with anger. See, teachers aren't taught to really recognize. It's see, by not seeing each child as being the same, you have to be able to see each child as a different individual. And that's how you will learn how to teach that child. But you'll say, I don't have time for it. No, you don't have time for it because you weren't taught it from the beginning. Because if it was taught from the beginning, then it wouldn't be a matter of I don't have time. It would come naturally. So all the things that they should be teaching in school and at home, all the learning process, you're busy teaching them things that you just want them to remember and embed in their mind as a form of manipulation. So you will find better teachers who actually experience it, understands children to the point where you see each child as an individual and not as a collective classroom that you teach the same thing to, because each child is going to understand it differently. So you need to speak their language. You spoke the same language as the child. Maybe your friend spoke the same language as another child or similar because their stories were similar. So if you look back to your upbringing, what did you perceive through it? How did you behave during certain situations or circumstances that were going on in your life? Were there any similarities to yourself as what you see in those children? And I'm not just talking about navigating to ones that are just totally always there. I'm talking about experiences that you would much rather not remember yourself. Well, maybe those children in your classroom are going through that exact same thing, if not extremely similar, and you have avoidance disorder. I don't like labels, but I am going to say that you class it as ADD, but it's actually DAD. It's the dad disorder, deep avoidance disorder. And that's the biggest majority of people's problems. They're told to avoid it. Just let it go. Let it go. Don't deal with it. Let it go. Be in the uncomfortable. What? Because being with somebody else, being in the uncomfortable keeps you in the comfortable because it keeps you from actually seeing things for what it really is. Or it might be something forward that butt hurts or triggers. See, when people say teach, it's not to teach someone to remember things. Sometimes you have to get to their level. People, it was like when I said get to their level, people don't want to do that. Because if it's, okay, let's say it's, how am I going to put this? Okay, we'll use a narcissist because you have narcissists everywhere. You have at home, at work, outside, at the supermarket. Doesn't matter where you go. There's always a narcissist there, and you'll probably see that if you are an empath or anyone that's very connected and you understand people, you probably feel the narcissist coming at you. Okay, so if I'm working with a narcissist, I will be just as narcissistic as you. So I will meet you where you are. And if you don't like what I'm bringing forward, then maybe you should rethink yourself because I'm just showing you who you are. The same as in ways you show me who I am because it shows me things that I'm seeing. And I need somebody else to show that because a lot of the time you see other people, but you can't see yourself. So that's why to some, I probably seem very narcissistic when I'm talking to certain individuals. Or I may seem all over the place when I'm on here. It's like, por eso, como eso, que te voy a extraer, ano tudo isso. It's like, how did I get to where I am? Because I became my authentic self. I stopped listening to the white noise and I started hearing here. So these are things empowerment. We teach empowerment. Do you know insecure people are the ones who are reluctant to teach empowerment to other people? You feel you're empowered, but you're not that empowered if you feel insecure towards somebody else that you should be teaching how to be empowered. They say like a good way. Is education being taught wrong? It's like I'm sitting here, but we all know that. Sometimes I bring these out, but in a bit I'll like chant and see if I can get any questions, and then ask and see what I see. don't use the tools, you'll say, some will say it's divination or it's not your tool. Okay? They used to use dowsing rods to find blood. My grandfather used to do it. That's how my parents found the well. You want to, like, people want to push a biblical scripture, okay? But they want to leave everything else out. Stuff that should be taught in schools. Because you're gravitating to some, but you are pushing away the others, and you're closing the door to their understandings, to their way of life. All cultures need to be taught in school, not about war, but culture, teaching one another. And then that's when you have the real choice. See, I don't understand, like, with regard to religions, in the aspect of, oh, you won't create this for this person if they ask you a creator, but you won't create this for that person because it's against your religion. I don't really get that. That's the same as I wanted a tyranny, but instead of him using diamonds, I wanted him to use crystals. Well, because it was against his Mormon faith, he wouldn't use crystals. Well, then I'll go to somebody who will, and do get my money. So no, you're not a man of the cloth or God or what have you if you're doing that. If your religion interferes with stuff like that, because it's interfering with culture. Do I believe in sacrifice? Fuck no. Fuck no. I understand the dark arts, and I understand where the dark arts stem from, because it wasn't dark arts, and nor is it all dark arts. To be honest, your church is using more dark arts than, the ones you call witches and warlocks. Well, they're on both sides. To the ones that believe that this stuff is not in your church, you're even being taught a certain education in church to the point where you believe that when you take some kind of crack or cookie, you refer to as eating the flesh of the lamb and drinking the blood of the lamb, which, that's really, that must have been an Abel thing. Abel was the one that sacrificed the living being. Not Cain. Did I go there? Yes, because that's part of the education, the curriculum that's being taught to children. It's being instilled to the point where today fucking adults don't even know the goddamn difference. They're the different types of education. Everything you learn every day is a form of education. You're constantly learning. How you learn what you're learning is entirely up to yourself. Is it working for you? Because if it's not working for you, then obviously it's not right. At least not for you. Try it. Try it another way. Step back. These are things that should be taught to everyone. It's education. You call yourselves masters, you call yourselves teachers. Where are you teaching? No wonder people are dropouts. It's not because they don't know how to learn. It no longer works. And it never did work. It only worked for the ones that wanted to create division. Hi, it's your guy. Back again. He's looking in the window. Yeah. What is the number? Boy, you really don't like that, do you? See, you put the lens in money, and then you don't teach people about, you don't teach, like, people don't know how to read it, see it as their bank account, because it is actually their bank account. The money that your government has, that you give over to your government, is like your bank account. You are putting that money in trust with somebody you believe is going to do the right thing with your money. It's not a monopoly, but they play it as a monopoly. Guess what? To those playing Monopoly, go to jail, directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Not even to buy your pit stick like you leave everybody else to do. Y si tu pare que no muta dice, we're going and doing. There's something should be teaching. They are teaching it. You know, how about teaching someone how to do, like, as they get up in the higher grades for biology or chemistry or what have you? How about you teach them how to stitch up? For if they get a cut, they can do it themselves, and then it alleviates all the shit going on in the hospitals, right? It leaves room for bigger problems, huh? Instead of Susie sitting over in the corner by herself because she's become antisocial because of people bullying her and the teacher doing nothing about it. Because if there is a student over in a corner because they've been bullied, then the teacher's the one with the problem. Because that child shouldn't be over in the corner by itself. And that's why kids are being pushed through school, because teachers are not taught the proper way to teach students. I'm not saying there aren't teachers out there that are doing it, Those are the teachers that can actually. Roland, you're being an asshole now. Yeah, I know. He's getting back at me for laughing at him. Spirit to spirit. It's like, really? Really? For an old man, you sure do act pretty fucking childish. Father Time likes to play tricks on people. I tell you. He does. This morning, today, okay? Upstairs to my ex-husband. And he told me it was like 1 o'clock or between 1 and 1:30, something like that. And I come back down the stairs. I didn't look at my clock or anything. I went out to the car to go somewhere, and my clock said 2:50, which, would have been about right had he said the 1 o'clock or 9:05 would have passed. But when I looked at my phone's at 11:58. Time cannot be automatically changed in my car. I have to manually change it. But on electronics, you can change the time anytime you want. Oh, is that correct? They can change time anytime they want. Oh, you gotta give it. Spirit said you gotta give it your own. So there's time. Are you changing time? You gotta answer me. I know you love me. Can I sit on there still? Have you been changing time? Okay. So when I say about Father Time changing time, the watchers, right? You have the watchers. You say in your aspect of biblical or what have you, the watchers. So the watchers watch time. The watchers can, why you have the watch, right? Okay. So you have the watch. Yeah. I'm going to put down. Why do they put clocks in the classroom? How many people have actually stood in a doctor's office or anywhere like that? They have the clock. Tick, 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 tick. Right? How many of you actually go into a doctor's office or a hospital or in school or anything like that? And you feel really bad. You get in there, you get into the doctor's office. You feel worse than what you did. Spiritual commitment. That's how it manipulates perception of time. Everybody's been experiencing weird times. Or sometimes you're saying, "Oh, well, like the days, like it's just falling into a lot." That was because all the time is messing with time. Okay, how can I explain to you all the times? In what your perceived time? Okay. Who was it? Well, it's men, but they had a thing where Jeff Bezos and some others were building some kind of clock, a spiral clock. And then some people are saying that we're in 1729, which, if you actually look back on history, it is repeating itself. I know, because this is the very stuff that I've been researching. And I've been coming on and explaining, if you look at all the different things happening, you can piece it together in the timeline that it happened in. So we went from COVID, right? Which would have been the Spanish flu. What was before the Spanish flu? Okay, that was World War II. So what was before that? Was a lot of the suppression, correct? And then you have the immigration. Okay, the immigration of 17, 1749 to 52. I mean, all of this started really coming in to North America. Okay, the mass immigration, the same type of people coming over. The same things happening. You're stealing our land. You buried our people. You did this, you did that. We all did, because your side fought just as much as ours. But you say it was because of taking the land? No. See, they don't teach on school, but like they teach you the Edward Cornwallis thing, that Edward Cornwallis, like the European settlers, were the bad ones. But they weren't. I'm not sure if they were because I didn't stay in school longer than grade 8. I'm not sure if they were teaching about Edward Cornwallis in school, where he had been scalping the indigenous and European settlers and everything like that. But that was because it was brought from Britain, from the English, and from the British, and the French. That was still going on. They brought people over, but they don't teach that. They say that the European settlers came over. No, the European settlers were brought over by Edward Cornwallis's people, and they were promised land. They didn't take your land. The crown did. They don't teach you that stuff. Kids are coming home and they're telling the parents, "Oh, we're on stolen land. We stole their land." How about you teach all of this? Because you only give certain individuals a voice, and then you shut down the ones that goes against your narrative. You always that part. You always want everybody to recognize and know your history, but you don't want to understand the real history behind it. You only know what you were told through class. Did you ever really research on this shit? Because holy fuck, there's a whole heap of it. You know, you come to a world, everybody should be treated equally, but nobody wants to treat anybody equally because they think that they should have these rights and nobody should have the same ones as them. Talk about privilege, right? And this is what creates division. girl, an indigenous woman, young girl, she went to school and she sat to school next school, but because she was indigenous, nothing really happened. They said she was the that's not what they're doing. And then they're saying about the RCMP beating on the women. Well, I think you better look at your own home because there's a lot of that going on. But then you'll say it's addiction because they brought the alcohol to us. Please tell me every time you put that drink to your face, who's putting it? And then, like, not everything is in the public eye. So you don't know what's really happening to any person because it's happening to everyone because there's so much anger and aggression and hate towards one another. It's like they brought back the Indian Patrol. So welcome to, is it 1729 or is it 1756? And they're trying to scalp you. That's what they teach. Same thing in your religions. They teach you be enemies with these people because they're not fucking good enough. Or they do this. Or shit, you aborted a baby. Not you. Like, it's be worried. Like, be like, it's like, I was going to say something and then it was like something shut it down, but it's not going to shut down because I know that it's things that I have to see for myself. I can't tell you what to do. The same as you can't tell me what to do. If you look down on me because I have an abortion, which is my body, and it contains to me and whoever I've had the baby or was pregnant with, what right do you have to say anything about what somebody else does in your own home? Unless it is impacting someone on a very negative level and causing harm. Then that's when you sort of make it your business. But not in a negative way. Schools very report children. Well, parents. And then you take the children away from the parents. From what I understand, a lot of foster parents are no better than the parents that you took them from. But oh right, it's a form of a cash cow. So instead of working with the families, because you separate everybody is able to do each thing if you tap into that part of you can be the therapist, you can be a psychologist because you understand yourself. So when you understand yourself, then you see the different forms and you understand how to teach others in a more productive way instead of criticizing people and saying that, oh, well, you can't hurt people at the university. like I said, there's a way to work with every child's needs, but you choose to pick and choose between a few areas. You say the hell with the rest. And there are people that are doing that with regards to what's happening in the government. They put a government there, but they don't teach you government. They don't teach you uh, to understand your own rights and code enforcement. And then with these big words, you'll say, "Oh, well, that's too much teaching." No, it's common sense. But like I said, with regards to government and the financial system, that's your thing. That's the good thing. They're not dirt, or they're not in debt. Your rich is dirt, but they put you in debt. Where's the bank? There's got to be a bank account where all of the government funding goes into one bank account and it's dispersed from there. So how much money goes into that bank? Because I know that there's many people, you're constantly looking at your bank account, right? To see what's going on. So why aren't you looking at that? They have that, like the United States, the people of government, they have that pretty good law. They're just telling you have to pay it back because they borrowed against you. That's how the slave trade works. You look at collateral, so they didn't care about collateral as long as they don't pay it. They could just go bankrupt. You don't have to mortgage, do what you will. I said it's about education. I'm bringing forward stuff that you may not, but I know there's a lot of people on TikTok that know exactly what I'm talking about because they're on here bringing it forward too. They're trying to censor it, but hey, speak up, speak the truth, and keep going. But people really need to be like, instead of complaining about the government not giving you any money or this not going here or there, why don't you tell me you want to see the bank? It's your money going there. I can feel that. It's like you're right up here, so enough secreta mucho sobre. Tell me, is there a world government? Is there a world? Does the government have an account that all the taxpayer dollars go into? Does the world government have a bank account that all of the tax dollars collected from every country, every state, go into one bank account? Oh, 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 oh. Yes. So it's a World Bank. Right? Return, please. I said it today. Good morning. Okay. Is the one bank for all governments? Uh, sorry. Do all countries borrow on that money? Okay, just one sec. Okay. Trying to sort out. Do governments borrow against their own people? Oh, do the governments borrow against their own people? Shit. People in the back can't hear you. A little louder. Okay. The big world. It's a race for the treasure. Oh. So the world government, all governments of the world are bankrupt. Some more shit. All the oh yeah, shit. So they're all bankrupt. So now they're using people as payment. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, this is not something you teach to children. But this is an eye opener for adults. Okay. Is there a raid in the White House? Oh, is that why they? Okay, a raid in the White House, and it was right around that time that it was supposed to set raid in the White House. And that's when they started telling Morgan and said to be throwing a ballroom. Is that where the raid was? Oh, oh, okay. The secret to it. I just heard the real Donald Trump. It's like under the White House. It's the real Donald Trump under the White House. Sit up there. God damn it. You've got to answer your shit anyway. Turn. The time I had the vision of going downstairs, going somewhere, seeing someone in a room chained to a standing up type thing, and the one with the face shield and what looked to be a heavy leather butcher blacksmith coat, and taking and smashing her skull. Oh, son of a bitch. Silly girl. Little Russian. Heroin. Was it a face off? And when I say face off, much like the movie Face Off with John Travolta and how for Nicolas Cage, when John Travolta took the face off of Nicolas Cage and pretended that he was him. So is Epstein the one behind the mask of Donald Trump? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, God damn it. Okay, that's why. Okay, return, please. Thank you. So that is why why Donald Trump conforms to Judaism, because it wasn't really him. It was Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, that's the part where he was said to be working for a group of people. Oh, damn it. Questo pareto mush. Okay, return, please. Return, please. So Donald Trump was working with Putin to bring them down. Oh, the real Donald Trump. Yeah, ora sì, prego, muoia. Yes. So to slander and when did Jeffrey Epstein because I watched a thing in a house where it said that Donald Trump was being strategically placed. So what went down from COVID after that, just before that, that was the time Jeffrey Epstein died. That's when they took the focus off of him and put it on COVID. The switch. Where's some pasare tormo? Mia mamma cucuita. We see. So, so it was the face off and um, Trump, but Trump did not. little movie we got going on. Che secondo me Korea. Disikti Korea, Korea mo otoy. Sira. Tutoria. Buese. Kitotoy some. And that was the smash between the head. So there's a plate in the head. Yata. Disikyak no mo shabaya. Birtoto re. Mea go to kumwe. It's like, whenever I speak the languages, that's when different things will come out in English. But nah, they have no setup. And that's why when Donald Trump, his face never looks the same because the masks only work for so long. Oh, that was the one I seen skinned alive. Oh, sweet Jesus. They're running out of flesh tools. So to eat flesh. That's why, that's why it's different. Because when his face looks wrinkly and like all scarred up, that's the cellulose from his legs. Oh, sweet Jesus, fuck. Oh, damn it. Oh, should I call that face? God damn. Some people say, oh, that's that's really like step back, go back now. Spare gummy ready for this. Fierce amigo, I started the part that I remember. I remember it all, but I mean, like the first time I remember this stuff before that. So right now we are watching reenactment of the movie Face Off, only this is what the movie Face Off is based off of. Sort of. So sort of. So okay. So the parts where I saw that were like visions and memories, what have you, I'm seeing what is happening to or has happened to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. So sometimes they stage it when Donald Trump is out of it. They stage scenes and that's him kind of drooping. But there's it's drooping because there's nothing to really hold the mass up with it. So his dementia is more of like what would appear to be skeleton. Did the real Donald Trump party with Jeffrey Epstein? I know what spirit I'm connected. Did Donald Trump ever touch children? And you have to answer. So are you giving a confession? Did you write your first novel? Did you rate those novels that came forward? It's hard. Did you ever touch your daughter Ivana? I believe it more than I would believe it because it looks serious. Did you help in the death of Princess Diana? Did you help in the death of Princess Diana? Someone put it in the Bernie's ear. I heard Camilla return things. Were you and Camilla having relations at the time of Princess Diana's death? Oh God, yeah. I heard she was an old hag. Is that what you and I was supposed to say Charlie Sheen, but you and Prince Charles have a beef with each other about is over Camilla? If she had my baby. Oh God. Okay. Did you have any sexual relations with Princess Diana? No, she wouldn't let me get near her. She was grossed out by my appearance. I heard no, I was Slytherin, I was a snake. Siete preto, I heard Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi. Okay. There was a plane crash. You were supposed to be on a plane or something. Is that when faces got switched? Yes. So you were actually in that plane crash. So you were in the plane crash. And that's when, well, I'm sitting with this for a second. Okay, in the plane crash and drug away. Or detonated. Okay. So you're still alive. Hang on. So they had to, okay, the raid in the White House, that was where they're digging up now that they say they're going to build a bomb. So, okay. Are you currently in the White House? Okay, which one? Okay. When I say, are you in the White House? Are you in the building itself? Yes, it goes 8 stories down. Oh, okay. Yeah, and then that's where you're down where the river is, the underground river. Okay, it's a man-made underground river. Oh, trafficking! Ow! Oh! Sento pure che pure المفروض كان gusta طبعًا emotion. Oh, god dang, that's a 10. Okay, it's super weird. Oh my. Feeding you like little honey. So that's where the offering takes place. And the offering is to you. No, it's not about my money. It's about my heart being shown, but I'm experiencing inside, I should say. It's like yeah, I have to say it aloud. So you and Epstein were working together. We were working together. We were competition. Okay. So the other side is trying to torture you for income. Like you just sound like gibberish when you speak, like the dementia. heard, I don't have syphilis. He does. Okay. So when I heard, I don't have syphilis, he does, are you referring to the one that looks like Donald Trump? Okay. So we established that you said that the Donald Trump person is actually Jeffrey Epstein. There is a podcast on TikTok or whatnot that I really recommend. He goes by, and he's the one that looks a lot like Jeffrey Epstein. And that's where Spirit has me right now because did Jeffrey Epstein have a twin brother? Did he have a cousin who looked identical to him? Is Pete wearing a mask? For Donald Trump, is Donald Trump his real name? Is it Crystal? Is it Christopher? Christopher the Traveler. Okay, so they showed an image of Donald Trump yards or what have you, taking this in. Was that a mocking as to where they were taking you? Well, taking Donald Trump, Christopher. Okay, okay, the Fred Trump and that you see was not real Fred Trump, correct? Okay, that was the timeline shift. Mandela. Okay, let's put this together, okay? Because those people that you were seeing, this family, that was not them at all. Okay? Because if you look at Mary, it's not, and you look at Patricia, she was a very beautiful. But when she passed, she didn't look like the same woman, even if you compare the age. That was the same as Ivana. When did they switch Ivana? Because as like Ivana, she was a very, was it really surgery gone bad or was it just something else? Was it surgery gone bad? Something else? Sure. Okay. So the real Donald Trump's name is not Donald Trump. The real name is Christopher. Okay. Saint Christopher. Saint Christopher. Christopher Saint. Meaning the Satan. Yeah. So the Satan, okay, the Santa Claus represented the Satan Claus, correct? Santa Claus. Okay. Let's see. So is the way they portray it to be? Satan is mystical. but Satan abused his gifts. Didn't feel like he abused them. Elaborate. Okay, so people talk about the Santic host within the brain. Is that what you're talking about? It's been demonized. It was demonized, so it became it. Is that correct? So, okay, return. So, the Satan was using magic. The people surrounding him didn't understand it, so they demonized it. Okay. So you became what they said a demon represented. Okay. Okay. So the name Christopher, right? You have like close to Christ, right? Okay. So was Christopher, did that mean crucifier? You- So Christopher was one of the four horsemen. So you are the remains of what was left at the original altar. Okay. Do you hate God? I don't. I don't. Were you saying I don't know God? Okay. So, so you don't. Okay. So let's put this in like more uh, human terms and say, so you don't really know your biological parents. You don't really know your mother and father. So it's much like you got sent downriver. Oh, so that just took me to the word form of Moses. Christopher who gave myself different names. Did you hurt people in every timeline you went to? Okay, elaborate. Like, okay. So you felt like you became what others said you were. Okay. Have you existed on every timeline? Okay. Have you existed with the same people over and over? Just one. And I got that's because I heard separation, but not separation. Fear of rejection. Oh, okay. Teased. So it's okay. So the one raised by a king, cruel king. Okay, so it's taken me to the Bible with regards to Joseph and Jesus. So Joseph took you to the king. Okay, because you did have a twin brother. Okay. So there is one that goes in like the twin brother that looks like you because it's the twin brother. So it was your wait a second.
Oh, he was the one that was taken by the king. Is that the Christian religion? And you were sent down the river. Oh. It took me to the Jesus aspect where Mary and Joseph found Jesus downriver. Okay. They like to get people in pairs, twins. And that's how they pull it off. Breeding. Okay, it took me to RFK Jr. Were you and RFK Jr. friends? We did everything together. Did you have a hand in touching young girls? Okay. Did you know that he did? And I beat the shit out of him. So you beat the shit out of him. Okay. Okay, so let's see. It's like there's an interrogation going on right now. Arecito por acá, muy high. Okay. That's okay. That's when you stop being his friend. I never stopped being his friend. Just helped him. So your father took him under his wing. JFK Sr. took him under his wing. Is that correct? Okay. So that's how the real Donald Trump learned business, because he didn't know his real. Okay. So Donald Trump, aka, well, Christopher, that went bankrupt 6 times. No, it was the fake. It was the twin brother. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. So is it the twin brother with dementia? What do I mean? Okay. Okay. I heard that's because dementia, and I heard that's due to syphilis. Is that so? What you're seeing in the Donald Trump we see, it's not a dementia, but it's syphilis. Okay. Dementia mimics syphilis. Okay. So did Melania originally meet you, and then they did something, and then the twin brother or what have you pretended to be you? Or was that you all along? Okay, so let's see. So with Melania, were you the one that met Melania? No. Was it a twin brother who met Melania? Was it Jeffrey Epstein with your face? Okay, let's see. That woman's not Melania. Is that true? Okay. The real Melania was sold into sex trade. Okay. So was it the real one in the pictures of P. Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein? Those the real pictures of Melania? Her name wasn't Melania, it was Alexandria. Son of a bitch. Oh, sweet Jesus, fuck. Decoder. Okay, yeah. I'm going to put those down for a minute. Okay. Well, this took a real weird turn. I could say this is for entertainment purposes only, but like, I don't know. You know, I know there's a lot of people that are, suspicious of this stuff, and I can't blame you. Because a lot of the stuff that people are bringing forward right now does sound woo, out there. But if people really took the time to look around, I did a post where I put the different versions of Donald Trump, and you'd be able to see where it would be like it's all over his face here. So that would be the representation of cellulose. But if you look at it, look at him. He's never really the same. Even his walk, everything is different. I just, the real one that, his he goes by Christopher, or his real name is Christopher, but who knows? But just that, it's like saying, it wasn't afraid to give an answer. It's like okay. I heard, is the White House the real White House? No, I heard Parliament. Is the United States, okay, is the United States or parts of the United States part of Canada? Okay. No. When they say London Bridge is falling down, are they making reference to a specific bridge? How do I put this? Okay. I was going to say, is it a physical bridge? Okay, a physical bridge. Is it a bridge between two ships? Okay. So when they say London Bridge is falling down, it's the bridge between those two ships. Okay. Okay. So It's going to sound weird. Is the White House a ship? Okay. Okay. So when they say in the rapture, they say about you're going to see the build the city in the sky. Okay. Is that making reference to the old architecture rising because they are forms of ships, the city in the sky? So the Atlantis. Okay. So was Atlantis formed from AI? The fall of Atlantis. Okay, so let's go the fall of Atlantis. Let's just out of curiosity, was that the representation of the avatars? Because with regards to the avatars, that was the rapture. So the rapture, is it physical? It's energetic. Okay. Okay. So the rapture is energetic. Okay. So energetic, but something more than just energetic. Okay. I know I heard, like, I know the rapture is like, I just heard like The Walking Dead in a way. The spirit, the unseen spirit will become seen, but not like a ghost. Is that correct? Okay. So not okay. I can feel that. It's like pull back and forth, like trying to sort through, like to see where, okay, because it's taking me to my experience where it felt like something was leaving my body. If you are not made whole, you will lose a part of you. Okay. So the rapture is the separation. The separation within self. Is it a physical separation? Spiritual. Okay. So now, is the true Vatican actually the White House? Sweet Jesus. And that's where I seen the one chained up. And it, oh, okay. So when I seen, okay, it was like a half human and half cow. Or the cow, it was the cow head and the face, and I said it was at the bottom of the Vatican. Was that a mutation? Or okay, was that a mutation? Okay, now, was I seeing something that was in transformation, much like what was happening in the movie The Odyssey, and the woman was transforming the human face, but this was a human face into a cow? Okay, so that was what is the, it was witchcraft being performed. And I seen while it was transforming because of the food, because of the offering. Oh, sweet Jesus. It was turning into a boar. Oh, god damn it, fucker. And so there is a real underground river under the White House. Yes, and there's the man made one, which stuff gets thrown into the sewer and carried to the center of the White House. So is okay, return please. So is this the part where it's like back in 1812 when they burnt down the White House? It burned out the evil. Okay, but there's a way to, and I know Nexus. So depending on what is like what type of leader is in there, it will take on its form. Okay, so and that's where destruction happens all around it. That's when you know that there is an evil force or entity on the premises. It's utter chaos. So, what I thought was that I drew the church. It actually wasn't, well, it was the church if that's the Vatican. So, that's where. Okay, so when I drew what I thought was a church, because in the two windows and the door it has 666, and then it was like a bunch of circles, like a spell, cast a spell, and then the clocks, which is much like the security, the giant above it, the one in control, and then the one above it, the one within the church. Okay. I heard the word bunker. Bunker. The hidden underground hatch. And that's what they're looking for. Okay. Mr. Chris, what is it? Those, I heard it was like with regards to those, not Rice Krispies, Mr. Krispies or whatever, some kind of cookie. Yeah. I think I'm going to go sit under the tree. I'm just doing this myself for a minute. Okay. Guess that's up at the tree. It's like the tree of life. Why did it take me to the tree of life? Because water has memory, and the roots go into the water. Why did or something? The roots go up the water. It's like all leaves have microphones. Okay. Are the roots electrical wires? Oh, son of a bitch! So, okay, my theory of the two ships together, that's where you hide the wiring harnesses. So, as you rip up, a lot of the time when you're ripping up the trees, it's tearing apart. Yeah, I know it sounds weird. Okay, so are the roots of the trees the wiring system for the Earth's ship? Reluctant. I can feel it. And that's what the gases are. So that's what's actually becoming airborne are the gases going through those hoses. And you got to say it loud enough so the people in the back can hear. It's like, welcome to the womb of the mothership. It's like, so when it was said about the web, was it the web up there or the web beneath? Was the tribe talking about the web in the sky? Were they speaking about the web in the ground? Oh, wow. She's back. The web. They mean the light poles. Okay. You get back, please. You get more electricity from one pole in the ground than a bunch of wires across the sky. They complement each other. Okay. And I mean, like the poles, they work, they're individually connected to the circuit. And when you put so many, you're actually stealing electricity from the ship. Is that correct? It's like when people watch the movie The Matrix and the woman down below, they're in this big ship and she starts replicating human, like what they replicate as in the human world, in the this matrix physical world, food. That was the way of survival. That was bringing it on to Noah's Ark. So, like, the ark is it's what you class as the earth. Just showed me a ball. But it's not perfectly round. It's like I said, it's like an apple core. When you have the top, but you have all the in the middle chewed around and then out the bottom. It's like two saucers with the bridge in the middle. Okay. Is that correct? And that's the London Bridge that's falling down because the wiring is being torn apart. Please return and answer. So that would the bridge, that's the London Bridge, and the wiring is being torn apart. Is that correct? Yeah, it's like, oh, I already answered that. Okay. Okay. I just like seen it. Were there giant reptiles? Okay. Return. Thank you. Were they dinosaurs? No. Okay. Were they omnivores? Okay. It's like I just got shown two turtles, one stacked on top of each other. Much like a mating ritual. Finished. It's weird. Why did it show me two turtles? So the trees were growing out of their backs. So when they show spikes on perceived dinosaurs, they weren't spikes coming out of they were trees and things. So it was like, okay, so it was like the forest was moving. Okay, so much like that's why some land goes under and some rises. Well, she's getting a lot of nectar today. Okay. Well, that took me all over the place, but I guess it's like I'm not saying believe what I'm bringing forward, but it has brought a different perspective if you sit back and you watch how crazy things have gotten. But it's like it's like when you use these, it's and you ask certain questions. It's like it's almost it's like that confession. And when it's confession with God, it's the open confession. So it's like you're confessing to others what you've done. And that was like, okay, I did Donald Trump or what have you. And it came out that it held nothing back. It admitted whether, but everything can play tricks, right? But it's knowing when the trick is being played and really sitting and being able to shift to figure out what's really what. And yes, I do live in reality. I live in reality all the time. I see your reality, I see mine, because when I watch you on here, I see past what you're showing me. And it's not that part of judging you, but I'm seeing parts of you that, you're not truly being authentic. You're holding back. And sometimes it's that you're trying too hard to be someone or something you're not, and you're not following what you're meant to be. And what happens there is our belief system get in the way. Because after that happened to me in 99, I but now I understand. I understand the religious aspect of things, and I understand the mystical aspect of things, and how each thing is exactly the same. It's just performed differently. So, I'm going to leave it at that, and I hope you all had a great evening. So, I said that again. With that being said, I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing to receive and accept. Show to be big, bold, brave. Most importantly, be yourself, be your authentic self, be true and kind to yourself, and know that you have more strength than you can comprehend. When someone tells you that it was like I just got stopped. But when someone tells you that you can't do something, okay, don't take it as a challenge. Okay, because if you take it as a challenge, that's when you do whatever you have to. You become even vindictive to do it, to say, yeah, I'll prove you wrong. Oh, I better not say that, because some people may take it and think that they can go hurt anybody they want. But I'm saying don't hurt anybody. Because that's what some people want to do. That's what some people think about and dream about, but don't do it. Your soul is worth more than theirs if they're going to cause harm to people. And I mean, like, everybody deserves a chance and a soul. But some people, not kill them. Because even that would be too good for them, if they're as bad as you say they are. Because eventually they have to live in their own torment. And sometimes that's can be the aspect of where parts of dementia comes from. That's why they get violent. It's pent up memories within. And it starts to come to the surface, and it manifests in different forms of ways. Sometimes it's like reverting back to the child. So have a great night, everyone, and be authentically you. Even though sometimes we do get on people's nerves. But only, maybe they're not being authentically themselves, because everybody has their own quirks and annoyances. Good night, all.